things are going along swimmingly, and I'm seeing that the hashtag of Hasby Awards is going viral. So this is working well in the real world as well as in the virtual world. So that's great. The next presentation that we're going to have is for Best Social Media Advocate, and it's going to be presented by Brian of London. Brian made Aliyah in 2009. He's a senior writer at Israeli Kol, and he is also a nominee this year, as many of you are, as a matter of fact, for Best Tweeter. So can you bring up, please, Brian of London?
Thank you. Gosh, unaccustomed as I am to public speaking. I also didn't prepare. So much so that I want to get something. Oh, press that button then. All right, press the go live. Don't film behind me. I'm going to cover him. So, I'm Brian of London from the blog Israeli Cool. And I'm not giving this away actually, but this is actually for Dave. No, but the point is, I brought this here because I'm going to give this, it's just a gift from me to Dave, because Aussie Dave, who started Israeli Cool, who's a past winner of Hasby's, right? Yeah, of course. And he's put together a team, and he's given a home to some of us for writing and advocacy, and it's in the context of that I know that Varda loves being with this family that's been created. And the reason I'm holding this is one of the very, very first bottles of whiskey made in Israel. This is real, kind of. Now, my friend set this up. He's part of the team that set up this distillery in Yaffo, and it's drinkable. I drank it the other night. I got hideous food poisoning, and it might have been the maple syrup flavored Canadian whiskey that I drank, which was just a huge mistake, never to be repeated. Sorry, yeah. But the point of this is made here. Look at this. We've been, 3,000 years we've never made whiskey in this place. And it turns out actually there's a distillery in the Golan now also making whiskey, and there's one in Tel Aviv. And so you wait 3,000 years and two come along at once, like buses. We've written a lot on Israeli Cool about indigenous, about we have come home, this is our land, and you can tell that because of the stuff we do here. Jews do this. We come and do crazy stuff, like start making fine whiskey to compete with the Scottish, and it really does. I was in a hall in Tel Aviv, and there was the Golan whiskey, and there was Glen Morangi and Glen Fiddich and Glen Garrigan and Glen Ross, all of them there, and this stuff's not bad. Anyway, I brought this along because if Dave was going to I was going to give it to him. But the award tonight is for Varda. We're all on social media all of the time, and a lot of us do an incredible amount of work, and it's never paid, as was pointed out. We're not going to get rich from it, but we kind of, I see that we get people one by one and sometimes larger. And Varda did just a couple of days ago, what she wrote after the terrible murder, that one took off like a rocket, and I know that it touches people because statistics and numbers don't matter, but individual stories told properly do, and Kay had the same effect. I think Kay actually is partly responsible for Brexit, because I'll be quick. Her story in the Daily Mail, her personal story in the Daily Mail about 6 weeks ago, actually changed people's minds on what foreign aid does. And when those stories are told properly, and Varda has the capability of telling stories like that properly, it changes people's minds, and all sorts of stuff happens that helps us live here, and that's what it's all about for us. So thanks very much for letting me present, and please come up, Varda. I'm sorry, that's the day. You get this fantastic framed picture.
Thank you.
I'm trying to block
Yeah. Should I move closer? So, my biggest claim to fame for many, many years was that I'm a mother of 12 children. I'm a housewife. That's what I am. And of course, since I have a lot of kids, so they try to get me to do things. And my son was driving me crazy. You got to get a Facebook account. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. And I said, that's just what I need, one more thing to do. And in 2008, we were moving to an apartment. It was the beginning of a new chapter in our lives. And he said, come on, Ema, let me do it. Let me make you an account. I said, oh, okay. That was 2008. He made me an account, and I had a blast. I was finding my old friends and playing Bejeweled Blitz. I did the bucket list quiz, and I was sharing photos for Throwback Thursday, and I liked a page called Raisins Get the Out of My Cookies, and I was really having a good time. And I decided I had to get my husband to do this too, because it was too much fun. He had to have it too. So I drove him crazy, and he was like me. He resisted, and finally he did it. He got an account. And instead of doing what normal people do on Facebook and having fun, he was like sharing news articles. And I'm like, no one wants to read that shiz. And he said, I don't care. And he does his own thing, and he didn't care, and he was going to do it, and it was like embarrassing, but he did it, and there was nothing I could do about it. And then in, let's see, I think it was 2010. Yeah, it was the day after my 49th birthday that the Mavi Marmara tried to break the legal maritime blockade on Gaza. And the Israeli government sat on the surveillance footage for 12 hours. And I woke up to find the whole world lambasting us for doing what we needed to do and having our boys attacked because they're trying to enforce the legal maritime blockade of Gaza, which is a good thing. We had these jihadi terrorists coming from Turkey trying to come into Gaza with expired medications and acting as if they were these peace-loving activists, and what they were was terrorists. And when our boys landed, you've all seen the footage. Our boys had paintballs, and they had metal bars and knives, and they hurt our boys. They hurt our boys. Our boys weren't prepared. They weren't prepared to be attacked. And instead of seizing the moment and showing that surveillance footage, our government sat on it, afraid to move, and let this narrative take hold. All the mainstream media outlets were reporting this thing as if we were criminal. And I was sickened, and I realized at that point that my husband was right. Are you paying attention, dear? You were right. And from that moment on, that was it. I did what my husband did, and I posted news articles, and I told the truth. I didn't embellish. I simply told the truth. And at some point along the way, I opened a blog at the Times of Israel, and I wrote my first blog, which is How to Become a Facebook Diplomat. And I told the story that I'm telling you here. And then a couple years after that, Israeli Cool invited me to join their team after I wrote a guest blog. And I joined the good guys. And I became only the second woman blogger at Israeli Cool. And today I don't blog as much as I'd like to because I have a full-time job. I work for a nonprofit. Nothing to do with Israel advocacy. It's paying my bills. And in my spare time, I'm spending about 6 hours a day posting the news on Facebook, telling the truth, just putting the truth out there, and I believe it does something. I have to believe that. I believe it does something. And at first, I lost a lot of friends when I started posting the truth. And now I've got so many friends, I can't keep track of them all. People want this alternative news source. They're not getting it. They're not getting the real news. They need us. And what we really need is to find a way to fund us so we can be doing this full time. Anybody that's here has a passion for this work. We have a calling for it. And we're doing something so good for our people and our nation. And this is what we should be able to do full time. And I just wish we could put all the brain power together that's at this place today and find a way to make it happen. Anyway, thank you so much for this award. And it was lovely meeting you. You're an icon for me.
Thank you.